At the beginning of the film, we are shown a desolate world. Many people in the world have died due to a pandemic. The infection that eliminated humans had no effect on the animals. Now there was no traffic on the roads, factories were closed. Due to the absence of pollution for a long time, nature brought the earth back to life. Greenery was spreading everywhere. That's why the animals were living very comfortably in this environment. But now those who know survival are alive. One of the few people we see is Eddie. He lived with his mom since childhood. But due to the pandemic, his mom also died. And he was able to survive because his uncle used to send him survival books since childhood. And because of those books, Eddie is able to survive today. He no longer lives in his house because his house has become a mess. Not just his house, everything here has become so bad. He lives in a small bunker outside his house. He has some food and drinks, but it won't last long. That's why he goes to the surrounding area every day to find food and necessities. And during this work, it has become common for him to find dead bodies in the houses. Eddie is also a lonely person living in his area, and he has searched his entire area. In his area, the things he needs have now run out. He only has a cycle. He doesn't want to go far because he is afraid that if he finds a person when he goes far, maybe he will starve and eliminate him. Poor Eddie was very bored with his life. He couldn't even run his mobile to pass the time because there was no electricity in the world. He had all the books he had, but he does gardening to pass his time. After a lot of hard work, he was able to grow some vegetables, and that's why he was very happy. At night, he lies under the moon, and suddenly, he hears some strange sounds. He goes back to his bunker in fear. In the morning, as per routine, he took his cycle and went out in search of necessary things. He found a small solar panel on the roof of a house. He brought it home and charged his phone with it. After charging the phone, he listens to songs and enjoys as much as he could. After that, he watches his mom's video on the phone and gets very sad. He was watching his mom after a long time, but still couldn't talk to her. He watches these videos until his phone turns off. After that, he goes back to the garden and finds out that his mom had died and those animals had destroyed all the vegetables he had grown. After seeing all this, he does not understand anything. All his hopes were now over. He now collects the seeds of these vegetables. He could have grown vegetables again from them, but again waiting for so long to eat. This thought makes him very angry, and in anger, he hits the axe on his own feet. He could have died. That's why he takes out some of his survival books and makes medicine for himself and puts it on his wound. At night, he looks at his uncle and aunt's photo and thinks that they must be alive too. I have come to survive because of them, and they must be surviving so well. He now thinks that why don't I go to them too? Such a life may be a little easier, but it was difficult to do this through a cycle. He decides a route by following which he will reach his uncle's house, which can take 2 weeks if everything goes well. This night was now very difficult for him because he had to leave his house where he had collected a lot of things. Anyway, he leaves the next morning. He used to ride a cycle from morning to evening. At night, he used to sleep in a tank, and he was using the things he had to eat on the road. And a good thing was that if Eddie found a building on the way, then some things would be arranged from there too. Everything was fine for a week, but one night, when he wakes up, he sees that the deer has ruined all his water. In addition, his solar charger has also been broken by the deer, with the help of which he was able to charge his phone. Seeing this, he gets so angry that he shoots all his pistol bullets in vain, after which he regrets a lot that what he did. He kept moving forward and found a river on the way, seeing which he is very happy because the water was arranged again. After collecting water, he left from there and climbed a rough road. He was riding a cycle very fast. Suddenly his cycle falls into a pit. This pit was covered with some things, which clearly meant that someone had made this trap. He also tries to get out of this pit, but fails. He lit a lot of firecrackers that someone would come to see him and help him, but no one came. In the morning, he notices that someone is watching him. Eddie shoots him without thinking. The person who was here was a girl, but she was saved from Eddie's bullet. This girl tells Eddie that you give me your weapons, I will help you get out of this pit. First, Eddie does not listen to him. But when he feels that he has no other choice than he gives the gun to that girl. But he is not so stupid that he gives the gun to that girl with bullets, and that girl eliminates him. After taking the gun, this girl tells Eddie that you prove that you are not an infected person. On this, Eddie puts his shirt up and shows him that there was no mark on his body due to the infection. Eva also shows her body and convinces her that she also has no kind of infection. Eva now takes Eddie out of the pit and tells him to give him bullets, but he refuses. These people go to sleep, and the next morning, when Eddie wakes up, Eva had a knife on his neck. She was asking about the bullets. As soon as Eddie tells her about the bullets, she puts the bullets in the gun and runs away. Eddie did not understand why Eva did this. Suddenly he hears the voice of 3 people. It is understood that Eva ran away from these people. These 3 men had weapons, and these 3 were looking very cruel. To escape them, Eddie hides in a bush. On the other hand, Eva was on the tree, and she had a gun on all 3 of them. When these people saw Eddie's camp here, they wanted to find out who would have been in this camp. Eddie thinks that by finding out the owner of this camp, these people will reach Eva sitting in front of the tree. His life will be in danger, so he quickly makes a mark on his body like an infection through some flowers, and goes to such a place and lies down where they saw him. When these people come close to him, they think that Eddie is dead due to infection. This means that Eddie's plan worked. Now, because these men had found out about the camp, they left from there. Eddie and Eva set up their camp again, and here Eddie found out that Eva was pregnant. He asks Eva about her husband, to whom she tells that he is dead. These people hide in the ruins to escape those men. When that man was eating their food, Eddie goes from far away and arranges 2 cycles, and he decided that now he will take Eva with him. Half of the journey was done by Eddie. Now it took him only 1 week to go to his uncle. But Eva was not ready to go with him because, according to her, the area where Eddie's uncle lived was not safe at all. But Eddie had full trust on his uncle. He tells Eva that if you don't come with me, it's okay, but I will definitely go. Now, because Eva had no other option, she also agreed. They both leave. Eva didn't know how to ride a cycle. Well, so it took them a lot of time. But Eddie supported her. Now their routine was that they used to ride a cycle all day, hunt a little, and cook their prey at night and eat it. Because the food they had before was looted by those 3 robbers. But Eddie was still happy because at least he got a companion in the form of Eva. Eddie started liking Eva. That's why. Now everything was looking very beautiful. But he was unaware that those 3 bad guys were still after him. Eddie was taking a lot of care of Eva, so Eva also started liking Eddie. On the way, Eva and Eddie get a pond. Eddie jumps into the pond for swimming. When he swims and comes out, he sees 3 men lying behind him at the same time, who asks him about Eva and says that we have nothing to do with you. You just tell us about Eva and hand over Eva to us. We will not eliminate Eva, because Eva is working as a resource for them. They will eat the baby that will be born of Eva. Eddie had now understood that Eva was running away from these people because they were doing injustice to Eva. That man talks to Eddie again. If you love this life, then leave Eva, or else we will eliminate you, because in the game of survival, there is no competition. Despite such bad things, Eddie is not afraid. He takes Eva and keeps moving towards his destination, and finally, after a few days of travel, they reach their uncle's house. Eva was very happy to reach here, because now she was getting a bed to sleep and some food to eat. But here Eddie was very worried because he had not seen his uncle at home yet. When he comes out of the house, his fear really changes. His uncle was also dead, and he had a grave outside the house. His last hope is also gone. He had turned hostile to the 3 men on the basis of his uncle. Eddie is now sad and worried about all these things. He goes to Eva and asks the truth of those men. Eva does not hide anything at this time and tells her that when their brother was doing injustice to him, he eliminated him and ran away. These three kept following him. But Eva did not tell Eddie anything. And that's why there is a fight between the two of them. Eva kept crying and Eddie took some of his stuff and went out of the house where he now faced those three men. Those three men put a gun on Eddie and tell him to hand over Eva to us. If you want, we can also share Eva, because this is the new rule of this new world. But Eddie did not want to meet them in their bad intentions. He runs away from here to save his life, and before running away, he shoots a bullet in the air so that Eva wakes up and saves her life. Here Eddie, who was trying to run away, a man catches him, and before he eliminates Eddie, someone comes from behind and eliminates this man. Eddie had an aunt. Now there were two men left, one of whom had reached Eva and the other was running towards him to eliminate him. That in the middle he gets stuck in a trap set by the aunt, and the poor man dies there. Now Eddie and Eddie's aunt go to save Eva, but a bad man standing far away from Eva shoots him, which Eddie's aunt puts on his shoulder. That man does not eliminate Eddie by shooting another bullet. Eddie runs away from there, and taking advantage of the opportunity, this man starts to vent his anger on Eva. Eddie, who was watching all this, now makes a little noise and distracts the attention of this bad man. And as soon as the opportunity comes, Eva shoots an arrow from behind and eliminates this man. Finally, all the danger is over, and so Eddie, Eva, and their aunt start living together as a family. And this movie story ends here. Thanks for your time.